It's the human side of things. Music legend Elton John has entertained millions of people with his skill and lively personality. What does he keep secret, though? Ever wonder what all the fuss is about? Elton John is finally going to tell the truth about his life today, and it's been a long time coming. What could it be? Let's find out right away. He was born Reginald Kenneth Dwight on March 25, 1947, in Pinner, England. He fell in love with music when he was 4 years old and tried to play the piano by himself. He was so good at singing that the Royal Academy of Singing in London gave him a scholarship to study there. There were some bad times in his home life, though. Stanley Dwight, his dad, wasn't too happy about his plans to become a rock star. During his teenage years, his parents split up, which made his fight with his father over his future worse. Elton, who liked the sounds of early rock and roll, quit school when he was 17 to follow his dream of making pop music and played with a group called Bluesology. What is his stage name? That was a clever mix of his friends' names. In 1967, Elton got his big break when he answered an ad for a place to write songs at Liberty Records. That's when he joined forces with Bernie Taupin, who wrote great songs. Their career as songwriters took off, and they wrote songs for other singers and switched labels from D to GM. Finally, Elton's 1969 album Empty Sky brought him a lot of attention. It didn't exactly go through the roof, but it did set the stage for his 1970 self-titled album. When his first #1 song, Your Song, came out, everything changed. After that, it was hit after hit. Hits like Crocodile Rock, Benny and the Jets, and Island Girl taking over the charts. He also had hit records like Goodbye Yellow Brick Road in 1973 and Rock of the Westies in 1975, which cemented his place in music history. It's been an exciting and crazy ride for Elton John in the music business. He has had a lot of success and a lot of fans. He didn't just play music on stage, he put on a show since the 1970s. All eyes were on him, even when he was playing the Ivories, because he wore flashy clothes and cool glasses. Remember the #1 song he sang with Kiki Dee in 1976? That was just a small taste of how great his music is. Then, out of the blue, he stopped to kick it on the soccer field. Plus, don't forget the big secret he told us about his love life. Talk about being in the news. But, well, you can't stop a good man. Is Elton just a one-hit wonder? He came back in 1979 with a single Guy. His hits in the 1980s, like Little Genie, weren't as big as they could have been, but they still showed that he's a true music star. In the 1990s, he worked on The Lion King with Tim Rice. Feel the Love Tonight? He won an Oscar and a Grammy, which is more gold in his prize case. However, not everything was happy and bright. He was hurt by the deaths of friends like Johnny Versace and Princess Diana, but his homage, Candle in the Wind, 1997 inches won hearts all over the world and made a lot of money for good causes. That being said, Elton is still going strong. His later works, like The Captain and the Kid, show that he was still good. It was a hit that he played Billy Elliot on Broadway. Also, who could forget his movie? Rocket Joe. It showed us his crazy life as a rock star on the big screen. His book, Me, spilled even more tea on his crazy trip. Bernie Taupin, Elton's friend, and they finally won their first Golden Globe and Oscar together for Rocketman in 2020. This solidified their standing as a great team. Elton John told everyone on January 24, 2018, about a big event. He was stopping traveling after his farewell tour of the Yellow Brick Road. His reason? Family is the most important thing. He wanted to enjoy every moment with David, his wife, and their children. So he said goodbye to his rental house in Las Vegas. In May 2018, the $1 Million Piano was the cherry on top of a great show. Don't worry, though, Elton's fans had enough of him before he stopped traveling. His final tour was supposed to end in 2021, but COVID-19 messed things up. Then there was that annoying hip pain. Once he got back on track in January 2022, Elton rocked his way through the US until his last show in Los Angeles in November 2022. His 330th and final gig was in Stockholm on July 8, 2023. Elton said after his last show, "It hasn't quite sunk in yet that I'm done touring. I'll really miss the people. It meant a lot to me that they helped. His farewell show was more than just a hit. It made history. The most money was made from ticket sales, which came to over $800 million. But, as the saying goes, records are meant to be broken. And in December 2023, Taylor Swift's Eras Tour came along and took the crown. It wasn't a quiet goodbye from Elton. He went out with a bang by streaming his last show in the US, which took place in Los Angeles in November 2022. There were stars there, like Dua Lipa and Brandi Carlile, for the whole 3 hours. Elton won an Emmy for the show in January 2024, making it official that he was an EGOT winner. You've won an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony Award in your work. The surprising turn in Elton John's path to becoming a father even surprised him. Even though he had a hard childhood, he never thought about becoming a dad. But when he was 62, he met Lev, a special boy from Ukraine, and everything changed. It happened when they went to help kids with HIV. Lev, who was only 14 months old and lived in a shelter, was drawn to Elton and stayed in his arms for more than an hour. Something changed inside the singer at that very moment. I didn't know what kind of worms I was going to open, Elton said. I'm the last person to be thought of before the children. That was so bad that it makes you mad. I learned something from this Ukrainian boy. It came from somewhere. It's okay, you can be a father and a good father, there's a lesson said. He worked hard for 60 years to get to this point. The singer admitted that one reason he didn't want to have kids at first was because he had a hard time getting along with his own parents. Elton said, "My dad scared me. He never liked what I did. It hurt a lot. It still does." It didn't get better between him and his mother. They got into a fight so bad at one point that they didn't talk to each other for more than 7 years. Elton didn't want his own kids to have tense ties like his kids. After a few years of living a sober life, something strange happened. Following 2 failed relationships with women, Elton came out as bisexual and did some deep soul searching. He then met the love of his life. He was really in love with director David Furnish, and it all happened at the right time. In 2005, they became a civil partnership. A few years later, when same-sex weddings became legal in England, they got married. He hasn't looked back since. There was still something wrong. Elton didn't have any children of his own, even though he had 10 godchildren. And with David, he no longer felt like it was a sin for him to become a father. When they tried to adopt Lev but failed, Elton began to worry that his critics were right and that he was too old to be a dad. They didn't want to go through another adoption process that could take years, so they came up with the idea of surrogacy. And soon after, they had a boy. Zachary is his first name, and one of his other names is really cool. It pays tribute to the boy who began it all. 2 years after that, Elijah Joseph Daniel Furnish John joined the family. Now Elton can't picture his life without these 2 wonderful kids. Feel free to say what you think about Elton John's story below. We'll see you next time.